Hello and welcome back to another episode. Super excited today. As you all know, we are trying to cover all 50 states and even a couple territories in Canada to bring you the highest performing real estate agents and realtors from all around the country in North America now. And so if you're new to this, welcome first and foremost. But second, if you know someone looking to move to a state anywhere, right? I've literally hired one different agent here to come and talk with me. And when I say hired, I mean, we've just agreed that this is what we're going to do. But for 15 to 20 minutes, I'm interviewing agents from literally all over North America to bring you someone, a contact in every single state. So if you know someone looking to move to Mississippi or Texas or Florida, I've literally got an entire playlist. So you can click on this playlist down below on YouTube and find someone in the state. We're even talking to people in Alaska and Hawaii. So stay tuned for those. But super excited about today's episode. I'm bringing you Miss Wilson from the Wilco Real Estate Company in Mississippi. So if you know someone looking to buy, sell, or invest in Mississippi, of course you should watch the rest of this video. But agents out there, if you're looking for a referral partner in Mississippi, here you go. If you're looking for someone, or if you have family or colleagues, or what, I mean, we all know how, this whole thing over the last 2 years has really changed how we all live, work, and play. And so a lot of people are moving right now. So if you need a referral agent, here she is. I cannot wait to have this conversation today. Her and I actually met in person last August and just had a great time at the Recreate Summit with James the Zillow Killer and Giselle and Amanda Dahl and amazing people where we were talking about marketing and how to create a brand around the brand. And so I think she's done a phenomenal job, not just with her team and her business, but with the social media stuff that she does. I've been watching very closely for a while. I don't even know if she really knows that or not. But anyway, super excited to bring you her today. And let's get right into it now. Well, good morning, and thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time this morning.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing really, really well. It's Friday, been a long week, as we were saying offline here before we got started. But you know what? It just means that we got another weekend here to try to make some deals happen, right?
Well, I was going to say, thank goodness it's Friday, but when you're a real estate agent, doesn't mean anything except for more work, but that's okay. That's why we do it.
Doesn't mean a thing. That's right. Well, I love it. Well, so for those that are new to you, or maybe this is the first one that they're watching with me, tell everyone who you are, where you are, what you do, what makes you guys different. Talk a little bit about your team, social media. I mean, again, we're going to cover a ton in like 15 to 20 minutes here, but I would love to just kind of get the background story, how you got into the business, why people choose to work with you guys, pretty much all of it.
Okay. Well, my name is Marea Wilson. I am the broker and owner of Wilco Real Estate Group. We are located in the very northeast corner of Mississippi, Corinth, Mississippi. I am super small town, which I love, but one reason I love it is because we are literally 10 minutes from Tennessee and about 25 from Alabama. But so like we can go to Nashville for the day, we can go to Memphis for the day, we can go to Huntsville for the day. I love where I live. I mean, really, it's my tagline, #love where you live, because it's true. But so I have been, my husband and I've been married for almost 26 years. And back a couple of years ago, he made a career change. He works in the ministry. He deals with people who have addiction issues. And so he left a really good job where I felt totally secure and everything. Life was good. And we opened a furniture and mattress store to give him a little more time to work in the ministry and work with the people that he loves to work with. And so while I was doing that, I was like, now I have time to, my kids were grown. My daughter was 16, so she was driving. And I was like, now I can do something I've always wanted to do. So I got online, Googled how to become a real estate agent in Mississippi, and got my license. And I worked for a company for 5 years, learned a ton, loved it. And I saw real quick that, this is totally what I'm supposed to be doing. But I also got involved at the state level. Like I applied for a leadership group with the Mississippi Association of Realtors. And I got accepted to that. And so in 2019, I did that, and I realized I wanted to do a little more maybe. So I got my broker's license, and in January of 2020, I opened Wilco. Who knew the pandemic was going to hit? So also who knew that it was going to be the best year I ever had. So, I mean, for real, I was like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to starve to death. But it was a great year. And honestly, when I opened my brokerage, I really thought I would be like a one-woman show. It would just be me doing real estate. And then I brought on one guy pretty quick, and I was real nervous about it because I didn't know, am I going to be okay brokering someone, but worked out really well. Then last year I brought on several. And because of you and Glenda Baker and Amanda Dahl, everybody, the Zillow Killer, and Clubhouse, where I met all of you, I hired an assistant and a social media manager, and which I probably never would have done just because I just didn't know any better. But so anyway, now I have 5 agents. One that's passed her test, which is my daughter, and she's waiting to get her, to become active. And then I have one more testing. So I went from the one-man show to I'm about to have 7 agents and me. And so super scary, but super exciting. And so, I've had to learn how to shift my mindset from being like a top agent, because, I'm pretty competitive. I want to sell, want to be, in the top, to being a broker. And like I cut my goal in half this year because I want to help them. I want to help my agents. And so that's my goal, is to help them. But what makes us different, I love that you are like the relationship. What's your is it relationship driven?
Yeah, exactly right.
Thank you. I know you do because I've seen it. That is me. Like, that is us. My deals are a whole lot more than transactions to me. We get emotionally involved. I told you I haven't slept well this week because I had a deal go sideways, and somebody on the other side kind of thought we did something wrong, and I don't feel like we did. And it bothers me. It bothers me. Sure. Because I want everybody to be happy. I'm a natural born people pleaser. And so, keeps me up at night, but hopefully we get that situation rectified. It's just taking a little time, and, anyway, but stuff like that keeps me awake. But
I get it. Well, and in our position though, like with what we do every single day, it's hard not to get emotionally involved, right? Like this is people's biggest financial investment ever, right? And by the way, whether it's primary or even investment property, like there's a lot of emotion with the investment stuff, because they have options. Like they could do a lot of things with that money, yet they're choosing to invest with you, and building out a portfolio or whatever they're doing, right? And so I think you're exactly right. And I think we sometimes forget, or I think it's at least worth mentioning here, that there's a reason for that, right? Like there's a reason that we don't sleep well at night. There's a reason that we get emotionally involved, and it's because we care.
For sure.
Now, how you deal with it and how you work through, not just the actual transaction itself, but those relationships is really, really important. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people aren't willing to talk about that side of the business. And it's definitely not the sexy side of what we do, but we're therapists, we're advisors, we're a lot more than people just pushing paper around the table to get you to buy or sell or invest in real estate. So I really appreciate you mentioning that, and I think honestly that'll be a big sigh of relief to a lot of other agents out there as well, because like you mentioned, as far as the relationships go, I was having a conversation with someone this past week, a potential buyer, that what makes me different, what makes you different, what makes any of us different, honestly, is that, right? And what it was interesting to hear him share about how this one agent that he had talked to about 6 months ago had commission breath, just felt like he was being forced into something. And I was like, dude, when you walk away from this table, we were having lunch. I said, when we walk away from this table, if you never call me again, I still want you to refer me business. Like, even if you never buy a piece of real estate with me or anyone else for that matter,
For
like,
sure.
it's not about this one thing. It's about, you have 100 people that you know, and you could easily go tell them how great Matt LaMarche is, right?
Mhm.
And so I really appreciate you mentioning that, because I think it's going to be a big sigh of relief to hear people.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll resonate with people. But anyway, talk to us a little bit about the business. Obviously you guys have scaled very quickly now. You're not just an agent anymore. You're leading a team of 7 agents, including family, which I'm sure can be an interesting dynamic. So talk to us a little bit about the business itself, though, about the relationships. Like, what do you guys practically and tactically do as far as, taking care of your clients, not just through the transaction, but if someone calls you today and is like, we're thinking about buying something in the next year or so, we're looking at our first home, we're looking at an investment product, all that, kind of walk us through your process, because I love to hear how people, literally step by step, take that lead, take that opportunity, and nurture it along the way. And again, whether it's, we want to start looking tomorrow, we're pre-approved, here's our letter, to, we're kind of messing around with this idea of real estate. How do you guys walk them through that process?
Well, my first question is your timeline. What's your timeline, and what can we do in the meantime? Do you have another home to sell? Do you have somewhere to go if that home sells before you find another one? There's a whole lot of things, especially in this market right now. If somebody wants to put their house on the market, my first question is, do you have a plan if this sells in the first week?
Yeah.
Because, I know your market is even hotter than ours, just because because we're a smaller town. And but still we have to have a plan. But the way we nurture our people is, we are emailing, I send out, like, we just, our last thing that we did was, around tax time, we get a lot of phone calls. Hey, can you send me a copy of the closing disclosure? I thought I had it, can't find it. And so what we did was we sent out closing disclosures and a reminder about filing for homestead, because that can make a big difference in your payment or in your taxes. And so if they forget, they have to wait a whole nother year. And like, we stuck in, we didn't do it in all of these, but like if they were out of town or whatever, but we did like a $5 gift card to a coffee shop, a local coffee shop. Here's this reminder, here's your CD, and have a coffee on us. And that's just something we are always trying to, like, to be out there. Like, my team and I spend a lot of time in the community. We do different things. We have Wilco Wednesday, where we have lunch. We train. We'll do some kind of fun video, or maybe not. Maybe we'll just do a video that week of a house. But we always try to get together, because to me, it's important for my team to be together and to be close and to get to know each other, so that we can help each other out. If you're never spending time, it's easier to spend time, and it's easier to help someone when you know them. Like, if we help each other out, if somebody's out of town, and I've literally had 2 agents argue over who was going to get the referral, and not because that one wanted it, but it's like, no, give it to them. They talk to them first. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we just took up money, because of the ministry that my husband is in and the things that we've done in the community. When there's a need, sometimes I get a phone call. So a lady called me, and she was like, there's this girl that, I'm trying not to tell too much, but anyway, needed a little money to go on a school trip.
Sure.
Well, I just mentioned it, and I'm talking about, I didn't have to say, hey, do y'all want to give? It was like, how much do we need? You know what I'm saying? But like, my group, they are very giving, and they're very community minded, and that's my goal. That's the culture that I want to be here, because we care about people. So, and that shows in how we are agents. I don't know if I answered any of the question you asked me.
No, yeah, spot on.
I can talk, but
no, well, I love that culture piece, because I think that's something that people are missing, right? In our business and every other business, right? Because as a consumer, when you have a great experience, and when someone goes above and beyond with a service, you tell people about it, right? Like, you mention it to people while you're having a glass of wine with someone, or if you have clients over for dinner, like, you tell people about those experience. But what's crazy is the numbers actually say that if you have a bad experience, you actually tell more people about that, right? And that's one thing that I've really been dialed into in the course of the last 6 months in particular. And I don't know why. I think whenever I have a good experience, it really sticks out so much more to me. And I'm like, what can I take from that and put into my business, right? Like, how do I make people feel the way that they do at Chick-fil-A or, with an Apple product or, whatever the experience might be. I think it's really, really important. And I love the fact that the community is so important to you as well, because that's another thing that I've really tried to do, whether it's with agents in my area, through our association and stuff, if it's in just my city itself. I mean, like you mentioned, we're in totally different markets. There's 120,000 people that live in my city of Sandy Springs here, but you don't have to have a big city and you don't have to have a small town in order to have an impact on the community and then the area that you live in. So I love that. Well, and I love the culture that you built too, because like you said, how much do we need? What's the need? How do we fill it? Right. I love that. So
that's very important to me. Like that like when I interview someone, because I have a lot of people, they see our videos and they're like, oh my gosh, your place is so much fun to work for. I want to be a real estate agent. And I'm like, honey, I promise you, it is fun on some days, but it is more work than most people understand, and emotionally and physically. Like literally, husband and I have a date night tonight, and I'm like, can I just stay home? I'm tired. Can we have date night at home? Because I mean, it's like I told you earlier, it's been a week, and so anyhow, well,
it's true though. I mean, and that's the misconception, right? And so we'll talk about this, and then we'll give everyone an opportunity to connect with you. But that's one really important piece, and this has been a common theme throughout this series. I feel like is that showing the real of real estate, right? Like everyone sees the HGTV shows and the $1 million listing this and that and the other, and now I think I feel like the consumer, and I've heard this from several normal people that are not in our world, that there is this perception and then there's this reality, right? And for us as agents, we have the greatest tool we could have possibly ever have to communicate our value, our story, the real of the real estate stuff that's going on. And like you said, there's been many Friday nights where that's our family night, right? Like we go out and we have a nice dinner somewhere, and it can be Mexican, it can be pizza, it can be something super low key, and then we come back and we watch a movie together. That's our time. But there have been several instances over the last 2 years where I'm like, can we just order pizza? I don't want to leave. I don't want to go talk to people. I'm worried we might see someone else. I just want to just stay home. So I'm with you. But I think we've got the greatest opportunity now to tell our story and to show, what makes us different, what makes us unique, and part of the process too, which I think you do really, really well, like on Instagram as a good example. So if someone's watching this and they're like, you know what, she seems like a cool chick. I want to send her a business. I want to send her a referral. So I have family in Mississippi that has no idea that she's even there. What's the one fastest way for someone to get a hold of you?
Well, I mean, I can give you my cell phone number, 662-643-7298. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. My website is wilcocorinth.com. Because of Clubhouse and all of you, I hired, I had like a part-time social media guy just helping me because I'm not very tech savvy and I don't really like to be in front of the camera. I mean, like, he doesn't even do the bloopers on me when we do something because there might be a cuss word or two. He's like, Maria, I can't get on there. We're in the South. We're in the Bible Belt. Can't do it. So I'm just like, I'm learning. I'm having to really learn. But anyway, yes, you can find me anywhere. But the fastest way would be my cell phone, 662-443-7298.
That's awesome. Well, again, I really appreciate your time. It was great meeting you in August. Hopefully we'll have you back through Atlanta soon enough. But I really appreciate your time. You're taking a quick moment here to come and chat with us. I see how crazy busy you are. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And again, if you, I can't thank you enough. My hope is that the 20 minutes here that we spend, that even if just one person decides to reach out and have a conversation, it's a win. That's a win to me. Sure. And again, it could be an agent, it could be an individual, potential client, it could be a small business owner that lives in your area and has no idea what you guys do or how you do it. And so I love this idea of being able to connect people, even from Atlanta, Georgia. So I really appreciate your time again. I hope you have a great weekend. Hopefully you can get some sleep and some rest as well, because I've been there with you on these Friday afternoons and mornings where it's like, how's it Friday? Yesterday was Monday.
I know, which I'm thankful to. Look, honey, I'd rather be busy than not, but
100%. Never ever complaining about being busy. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not.
Well, thank you again. I really
it.
appreciate it. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You got it. Awesome job.
We done? I was like, oh my God, what do I do?
No, you're good. It's still recording, but I'll cut this end part out. So yeah, you're good. No, great job. Great job.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
No, congrats on all the. I didn't realize it was 7 now. I knew you had a team, but with the videos and stuff, it's always hard to see. Like, is this it? Is this everyone, or is there more?
Yeah,
and then
I do
more people would come. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I have an assistant, and then my social media guy, and they're always around. Like, I mean, it's like we don't go anywhere alone, and we're always in a group. So
yeah, I love that. Well, I love the culture too. That's one thing that for me, when I initially got in, there were like 5 teams that approached me about joining, their team, and it was something I gave a lot of consideration and thought to, because my first 90 days was super slow, and I had a huge network, a huge database, but nothing. I mean, I was calling, I was texting, I was emailing, I was Facebook, YouTube, I mean, anything, and nothing was coming. In fact, the first deal I closed was as a result of an open house, and it wasn't even someone in my sphere. Wow. So, but just that first deal, I think, got me my second deal, where they were like, okay, he knows what he's doing. It's clear he had some success with it, and then away we go. But
what'd you do?
Yeah, so I had a lawn care and landscaping business,
okay.
and ran that for about 4.5, almost 5 years. And of course, made a ton of great contacts. And, for a hyper local agent that I was trying to be, our service area just kept getting smaller and smaller every year. So then it was really just like a 2-mile radius from my house, which is great, because to take that directly into farming was an absolute no-brainer. And people already knew the name and had seen the truck and trailer and stuff. So that was a super easy transition. But yet there were still a lot of people that were like, what does this guy that was cutting grass know about selling houses? So a little bit of a transition.
I think the best agents are the agents who have been in the service industry of any kind. I mean, 100%. It's just because you got to be able to deal with people. So yeah.
And sometimes, like you said, it's the hardest part, right? Like, not only is it a big decision, but there's a lot of emotion for them. And especially a husband-wife thing, there's always that dynamic where you generally can feel out one of the others really driving that dialogue and that discussion. And then other times I'm like, I have no idea who's making this decision. Yeah. I have no clue.
I'm because I'm a little bit outgoing, so I'm very cautious how, especially if the man is the one, I always include the woman. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You got to read that, because you don't want a man or a woman, getting jealous of, if you're talking to, it's just, and that's so trivial, but it's also a big deal.
It is. It really is.
And there's nothing easy about real estate. I don't care what anybody says, what they watch. There's nothing easy about it. But I guess that's fine. I love it. But
well, I told my wife, because when we first got married, I was in an entrepreneurial world where I was selling stuff for people on eBay, and that business just totally vaporized, went away, and so I had to go back into corporate America. And I remember telling her, the thought of working for other people just kills me to my core. And I had to do it for 13 years before I got back into entrepreneurial land. And yeah, you're right. I work so much harder. Yeah, it's so much more fulfilling, and that you just can't replace. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. And I realize not everyone's wired that way, but at the same time, the thought of going back to work for someone else terrifies me, and that's why I work so hard.
Oh, for sure. And that's what, there's a businessman in town that says it makes a difference when your name's on the door, because that's your name, or whether it's on the door, really, or if it's just us as agents. But now, do you work for do you have a team, or do you work, and are you just a solo agent, or?
Yeah, so I'm just a solo agent, but in my first year, I looked at joining a couple teams and had conversations with like 5 teams about, potentially making the move from individual to a team.
Yeah.
But the thing that I just couldn't get on with was the culture.
Yeah.
Like I would literally talk with the team leader or the CEO of that team, whatever position they were. And I'd be like, all right, well, let me talk to your top agent and your bottom agent. Like, let me talk to someone who's crushing it. And then let me talk to someone that's new to the team, new to real estate, new period. Like, I just want to see both sides, right? And it was amazing to me how many people freely, this was over coffee or lunch or whatever. It was amazing to me how none of those 5 teams, and I talked to all 5 in depth, just like I laid out for you, and not one of them had the culture I was looking for or looking at and being a part of. And that to me was pretty telling. And then to see some of those people that were on those teams eventually leave, go on to be an individual agent, a team leader themselves, like that was very telling. The fact that you can attract talent and then retain it is a big deal, especially in a super competitive and entrepreneurial world like we're in. I mean, it's tough. And that's one of the things that, my wife was an agent for about 4 years as a buyer's agent on a team. Yeah. When we first got married, and then the market tanked. So that was one thing that I had always kind of talked to her about, was like, I would love to do the listings if you could do the buyers, and then we'll get an admin to handle everything else. And then after the first year, I was like, I never want to run a team, because I saw and I heard so many things. I was like, no, never. Right. And then after year 2 and year 3, it was like, well, maybe we'll entertain that. You started to see some potential opportunity. And I think, this industry is definitely not for everyone, and teams aren't always for everyone either. But I think that culture, just in talking with more and more team leaders and CEOs and brokers and everything else, it's very clear to me that, like, if you don't have that right, it's just a matter of time before the wheels come off, and you might attract the wrong people to begin with. So
absolutely.
Anyway, all right. Well, I've taken enough of your time. I really appreciate it again.
Thank you so much. I loved it. This was great.
I appreciate your time
when will
again.
It go live? Like, when will you?
Yeah. So I've got through the end of March currently, so it'll probably be like the first or second week of April.
Awesome. That's so good.
I'll let you know, and I'll make sure you got all the links and stuff, so you can share it wherever you need to as well.
Okay. Great. Well, all right, honey. Well, thank you.
Thanks so much. No, you as well.